So, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. For you, it might be like, yeah, you have watched maybe one video some months ago, even, and this is actually the second episode in quite a row for me now. But as you can see in the background, I'm going ahead with uh, another book. So, another book that I've actually been talking about before is The Philosophy for Successful Living by Jim Rohn. This is a fairly short summary. So, therefore, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to try to speak a little bit more about stuff that I know and try to be a little bit more calmer. And yeah, this is just for me, forcing myself to be a little bit slower, being a little bit more conscious about what I'm talking, not even being about less energetic. Because the thing is, for me, often it feels like, okay, being loud and being fast and being whatever is energetic. But it's not quite. It doesn't have to be at least. But yeah, so we're going ahead with this book. It's, I think, quite a good book. I have never seen it. I have never seen the cover, which is actually one of the things I do remember. I do never ever just quite okay. If it's a famous author, I know him, or her, but most of the time I do not know the authors, which is exactly the same thing with music. I have been listening a lot to music in my whole life. At the moment, I'm quite not listening to music anymore. When I listen to something, it's probably podcasts, because I feel like, okay, when I'm listening to music, this is nothing that I think is just giving any productivity to my life. So I try to not do it, even though I just think, on the other hand, it is something that a lot of people do. It's something that a lot of people actually need because it's what they just make them happy. And this is totally okay. So if you're a certain person that just likes to listen to music, that loves music and is just, passionate about music, do it. Please do it. Do more of what you love, do more of what you like, no matter what all the fuckers are saying like, yeah, you have to just read every day, the whole day long, and whatsoever. Just create a happy life for you. If it's uh, successful or having success in your life that's making you happy, if it's listening to music that's making you happy in your life, if it's just being with your friends, with your family, being healthy, I hope it's being healthy, which creates happiness in your life, no matter what. I think this is also, or always, I also always say also. I think this is always some kind of tricky thing that a lot of people assume being successful and having a lot of money and whatsoever is just having a successful life. But for me, having a successful life, it's more about the happiness. And I recently got asked what I actually want to do as in terms of a job pretty lately. And then I thought about it like, okay, what do I actually want to do? Because I don't know. I probably will do the stuff that I'm doing right now my whole life long. This could, probably be the thing, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe I just will come to the conclusion, okay, this is not making me happy, and then I hopefully will do something else. I probably will just speak about other things, not about self development or self help or whatsoever, but about something else. But the really most important thing for me is being happy in my life and being healthy. Even though I just thought, like, at this certain moment, I was like, okay, is it being happy or is it being healthy? And then I came to the conclusion that actually being happy also just kind of involves being healthy. Because for me, it's like, okay, when I'm not healthy, I'm not happy. It's some kind of the same thing. And therefore, I was like at the end, okay, I want to do something that makes me happy. And at the end, it just really felt like, okay, this fits pretty well what I'm searching for or what I'm looking for. Because it is what it is. If I'm happy, it is okay what I'm doing. Everything is okay when I'm happy. When I'm happy every day, all day long, it is clear that I'm doing just something that I love, that I'm healthy, that I have a good relationship with the people that I'm around with, and so on and so on. So all the factors that might be someday pretty important to me. So yeah, for me, having a great life, having a successful life is being happy. Um, yeah, yeah. If it involves some kind of a success or having a business, it's just something that's besides the whole factor. This shouldn't be just really in front of your whole thinking. at my point of view at least. So if you're really like, okay, I don't give a fuck if I'm healthy or not, I just want a really big business and I want to just look just really bulked up or whatsoever, just do it, you know. But the thing is, won't this make you happy? Won't this? Actually. I pretty much like drinking out of glass bottles. I do not know why. It just has a kind of another feeling to it. I don't know. But we will go ahead, or we will start with My Philosophy for Successful Living by Jim Rohn. And before I forget, I'm Christopher Walch. I'm a 18-year-old by now, 18-year-old graphic design student from Austria. And I'm fucking pumped to go through this with you. And I hope I give any value, or at least any value to it. But the best is when I just give you a lot of value through what I'm going to talk in this episode. And this will be a one-time episode. So I, unfortunately, or whatever you think about it, I do have to just think about another book that I could talk about tomorrow as well. So the book in 3 sentences, which is basically only just some kind of summary of the biography of this author, but, never mind. So Jim Rohn had influenced more than 5 million people in all corners of the world. He is famous for mentoring countless motivational speakers, including Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Harvey Mackey, Mark Victor Hansen, whatever, and others. In My Philosophy for Successful Living by Jim Rohn, Ron shares his best teachings on living a successful life. I do think, because yesterday I actually watched, and I've been talking about this, I watched an interview on Impact Theory, which is hosted by Tom Bilyeu, the founder of QuestBar, or one of the founders of QuestBar, which is actually, as I just listened to it and listened to him, what he was talking about and when he was actually talking about, and actually one of Gary Vee's podcast episodes, that he is actually the founder or one of the founders of QuestBar, I was like, what the fuck? This is just a really incredible guy. But at the end, which was also something that I just really loved about him, is that he has such a great voice. To really be honest, he just really sounds so good. And this is something that really kind of moves me, to be honest. I really like when there are certain parts, if it's music, if it's speeches, if it's podcast episodes, when there's certain voice, a certain voice. I do not know how I should actually kind of describe it, but it's some kind of that is actually either high or so passionate, and there's always one single thing or one single kind of snippet from a Gary Vee motivational speak that I always love, and I do not know why. I'm just kind of obsessed with voices, maybe. I don't know. So so My Philosophy for Successful Living, the summary. Or actually, no, everything's good. So you will be paid for what you bring to the marketplace and what you become. And that's totally true. And I think a lot of people still get it some kind of wrong. Because often people just think about no. And this is also something that a lot of people give advice about and just say, they all say, okay, do not work for free because you're worth something, even though you just haven't had any clients before and whatsoever. And I thought about it, and as I was just thinking about it, and as I was just reading about it some years ago, I think it was actually 1 year ago or 2 years ago, where I really just wanted to freelance for other people, because I was like, okay, I've always wanted to do something besides school, because school was never enough for me. I've always been bored on the weekends, and I've always had the kind of feeling that I want to earn my own money. I want to just have money for just the sake of having money, more money. I do not know why. I do not know how I came to this conclusion. Maybe it's in my genes, maybe not. I don't know. It's just really funny. But they just all say, okay, do not work for free. You're worth something and whatsoever. But the thing is, if you haven't had any clients, if you do not have a product that somebody bought before, you have no fucking value, because the only thing that decides what your product or what your service is worth is the marketplace. And if your first fucking customer is paying you $7 billion for your fucking service, then your market worth or your service is worth $7 million on the fucking market. And that's it. So the problem is, if you haven't had any client before, it's worth quite nothing at my point of view. Even though it sounds a little bit strange, it sounds a little bit harsh and hard, but I think it is like it is. If nobody just bought it, if nobody interacted with your product or with your service, it's quite worth nothing. Especially with things that are some kind of based on negotiation, like having a speech somewhere, or making a book, or actually writing a book, and so on. So it always comes up to how you negotiate with your producer, or with your publisher, or whatever or whomever you're negotiating with. But unless nobody just bought your fucking product, unless nobody bought your fucking service or used your fucking service, some kind of your product or service is worth quite nothing. Formal education gets you a job, but self-education is what makes you rich. This is definitely something that I quite feel like it is right, even though formal education can make you rich as well. It's not like that, you just have to be just, always learning and always whatever. I do just want you to do this, because I think this just makes you happy if you just put in a lot of information into your brain your whole day long. And I think this also makes your day and your life quite, first of all, healthy, because it is healthy, not like, stagnation in terms of your brain. But, what the fuck? But also, I think like, it is also important to just, have greater skills, progress in terms of your skills, progress in terms of your knowledge, and the basic stuff. But there are a lot of formal educations, if it's Harvard, if it's another university, that will just give you or provide you with a great job that makes you a lot of money. It's what it is. It's still the same shit. It's good. It's good for the people who just do not want to be self-employed, who don't want to own their own business. They will just work on this business. I'm just wondering. So, you know what? So let's see. Tim Cook. Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. So Tim Cook's estimated net worth is 625 million. I do not know. So maybe salary. Tim Cook's salary was, and you just have to think about it like, okay, he is actually neither a founder, if I'm correct. So if I'm just talking shit, I'm just really sorry. But he's neither the founder or he's just an employee of the company quite. Even if he is the CEO, if he is kind of the really highest person, the rank of, all the people that are working actually in Apple, or at Apple. But the thing is, in 2018, he had a salary of $15.7 million. He doesn't have a business. He does just have, and I know, to really kind of talk about this point again, it's not about having a business or just being an employee. It's more about, formal education and self-education. But I do just still think that a formal education on its own, and if you just like what you're doing, you will basically just learn a lot about it in your leisure time as well. So most of the people, I think, will just learn besides the formal education no matter what. But the thing is, only through formal education you can provide yourself with a good job, a good paying job. And as you can see, if you're just the CEO of Apple, you just make a lot of money. Even though you do not have your own business, even though you might, I don't know anything about Tim Cook, but you might only have a formal education and so on. So I kind of missed the point, I know, but I hope you get what I actually wanted to say. So the answer to solving your problem isn't to be found by listening out the obstacles, both real and perceived, in the outside world, but instead by notching the obstacles in your own thinking and approach. Yeah, and I think this kind of reminds me of something. The best business idea that you can have is solving something that pisses you off so immensely. And I think this is just a great idea. Everybody If it's, I know it's if it's a grandma, if it's a really early child, everybody has certain things that piss them off so immensely that they actually want to change them or want to let them change. And the best idea is to just do it on your own. If there's actually something that bothers you so much that it just pisses you off and makes you so crazy, it's a great business idea. Your personal income is determined primarily by your philosophy. This is something I've always been kind of struggling with because it's the same thing like Think and Grow Rich is kind of based on. That you only just have to think about money and have to just have a great mindset about money. I understand this. Maybe I do not understand this because I just think about money in just so a positive way and just in so a way that all the people who are talking about you should have to. I'm not thinking about money making you just an evil person. I'm not thinking about money being bad. Money is something great, even though it's basically, if you think about it, only some kind of promise that you will actually get something tomorrow or today for it, and maybe sometime it isn't like it is and your money isn't worth anything then because it's quite worth nothing, if you just look at it as a piece of paper. But yeah, I've always been a little bit struggling with this. If you work hard on your job, you make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. Okay, there is quite nothing to say about. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something that you attract by becoming an attractive person. This kind of just kind of leads me to a point which is I think quite good. I do not know how you can apply it in a lot of aspects in your life, but the thing is, this is also something that I experienced myself. On my Instagram page, I fairly have been just watching at my follower account quite often in the last few weeks and months until I came to the decision that always watching it may not be the best idea, because it's the same thing with growing your hair. If you just, kind of shaved your hair, really shaved your head, like you have no hair anymore, and you're just watching it every single day to grow your hair, then it might be, or it definitely is, way slower than you actually do something else, are focused on something else, and someday you will come just to the point where you say, okay, now I have again hair. And this just is way faster than actually always looking at your hair and just looking at them and being like, okay, grow please, grow. Every single day, every single minute, every single time you can just think about something, you're thinking about your hair growing. I think this leads to your hair not growing as fast, at least it doesn't feel like it. I think this kind of reminds me on this point, because it's the whole persuasion thing, always looking for your success, always looking for your success being like your success. But this is also a reason why I think that a lot of people just say that you should actually focus on helping the people rather than having success, or rather than just chasing the money, because it makes sense. If you do just give to the people and give, especially without expectation, you will get something back. The thing is, if you're not getting something back, you're not actually, so sad because you didn't expect it to be like it. The way that you become rich is not by wishing your life were easier, but instead by focusing on making yourself better. Totally. Achieving wealth and greatness can be distilled down to helping others. And this is actually what I was just talking about before. It's most of the time, I just played it through a lot of scenarios. I thought about it quite often. It always kind of boils down to helping other people. If it's actually you buying stocks, you help the company, you help the people in the company having more money. If it's actually you having a product, then it's quite obvious. If it's you making videos or I making videos, I'm also trying to at least trying to help the other people who are just watching my shit and having questions about the shit that I'm talking about. And yeah, if you search, you can find good people, but you have to be committed to searching. Totally. And it is always something that I've been quite talking about it often, because I think it's true. And the thing is, if you focus on finding good people, you will definitely find good people. If you focus on finding bad people, you will definitely find bad people. I think that you always get what you're searching for. This is something that Tony Robbins was saying. Also something that I was just talking about so fucking often, but I just like this. I just feel like it's totally true. Therefore, I'm just talking about it so often. um, Rewarding people for small steps of progress is a key part in your ultimate success. And I think this is just a manifesto for just having a great life. And it's not something bullshit like the 48 Laws of Power, which I think I will never read this book because I do not like it. I do not know why. I do not know why I just dislike it so much, but I think this is just their shit. Because we just praise every fucking single step a baby makes. If it's just shitting on the ground, shitting on the floor, doing some stupid shit, we all praise it. We all just tell him, yeah, you did this great and whatsoever, even though he or she may not even understand us, maybe even as so just in the long run. But it's not the same thing with adults. It's not the same thing with teenagers. It's not the same thing with people that are just growing up a little bit. We don't praise every single step they do. We praise nothing they do. We just only hate on them when they just do something that's shit. And this is, I think, not the way you should go. And this is actually also one of the things that Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, was emphasizing as well. That you should not just shit on them if they're just doing something not good. You just should praise every single step they do, especially as a leader. Be so busy giving others recognition that you don't really need it for yourself. That's a great one. I just love this book. It's always great to just find books that they just tell what I'm always thinking. And I just tell that it just makes me so happy right now. It just really fulfills me. To be really honest. Becoming a skilled communicator is one of the single best investments you can make in yourself. Yeah, because communication is definitely something that's so important. Because not being able to communicate in a great way, especially as a leader, especially as someone who has this product or service or this marketer or designer whatsoever, is crucial for not being successful. Because if you miscommunicate, if people understand it, some kind of different that you actually meant it to be, which is then the communication failed, it's not good. One of the best ways of building a financial wall around your family is to have more than one skill and more than one language, which means that you actually should diversify where you put your money. You should not have one job, which is actually what all the people are having. I think all the people are just having one job, having one income, having one salary, which is very dangerous because if this goes away, maybe the company you're working at just some kind of gets bankrupt or whatsoever, your whole income is away. But the thing is, if you have several income streams, as a lot of people talk about it, then, one of the things could break apart or could break away and you still are having a great life because you have 4 or 6 or 7 others. So profits are better than wages. I do not know what he wants to say with that. No matter what you're doing in life, it's important that you learn the fundamentals or the foundation of a given job or task. Yeah, I think this is just actually what I always talk about. I think you should always have some kind of basic knowledge about the thing that you're doing. Not going in straight like, okay, I do not know nothing about, but I want to do it, and therefore you are just going for actually learning everything by doing. I just think, and maybe it's just my own thought about it or my just own preferences, I just like to have basic information about the thing that I'm doing, and then in the process I will just learn way more. But starting with nothing, quite for me, feels like if you have the opportunity to learn something, feels for me like, okay, it's not the best idea. Taking the time to sit down and write out your goals for the present, the near future, and the more remote future is a necessary part of transforming your life. Definitely a good one, because just writing them down, just having them in your brain, just knowing them all the time is something good. Or having like a mantra. It's called mantra. I'm just very happy that I remembered this. Just pretty much telling your goals yourself every single day when you're just going to bed, when you're waking up, whenever, just make a time for yourself when it's just the most convenient for you, and just tell yourself these certain things. For me, it's like I'm doing it passively, which is the great thing. I'm always just wishing it to you. These are also the things that I want to have, and therefore I just have them in my mind. I just know them. This is great. You can have all you want out of life if you endeavor to help others. Is it endeavor? I think it's endeavor, isn't it? Uh, endeavor, 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 whatever. Those who do not contribute to society often find that they pay a price in the form of solitude. What solitude? Um, yeah, I do quite understand what he wants to say. I would say it in a different way, because I totally think that giving back to other people and in general just being a nice person and being a person that is fun to be around with is crucial. Is crucial for having a successful life. And I think he just thinks about having a successful life as having a happy life and having a life that is just great for you and for the other people. I think it's not about being wealthy. I think it's not about being rich. It's more about having just a great and just successful life. Life as such as being a success for you at the end of your life. And I do just really believe in giving back to people and just being the best and nicest person on the fucking planet. Even though I do just have to say, it's not the thing for me every time. I'm do just pissed, quite often. I'm just in general a pretty angry person, which is totally something I should work on. Something that I do particularly not always like about me. Sometimes it's kind of great because I can use it as some kind of power for me to actually just to just have a little bit more power, a little bit more motivation, and just use it this way. But most of the time it's not something that I can do kind of consciously. It's most often it's some kind of subconscious and something that I just do then. And but this is great. But yeah, just giving back to the people, to the whole point of just helping people to actually get rich, but not giving to the people with high expectations. Which is, I think, important, and which is also something that I should remember myself on more often, because I always just tend to think like, okay, I will get back so much from this, especially when I'm doing the posts, especially when I just really come to an idea, when I'm just doing a post that is so great that I think like, yeah, this is so fucking great that people must just like it and whatsoever. But at the end, it just, comes up to me not being, or just the episode not being, or the podcast, not the podcast, but the picture or the post not being as good, or in terms of the engagement, as I thought it would be. And then I'm not sad, but I'm a little bit disappointed, I think. I just thought like, this is the shit. Sometimes it's even the case that, especially with the videos, always when I'm posting videos, I just know that these will just have a great reputation. These will just have a great engagement, which is, totally the case, and which totally makes sense, because you can just create so much context in the video. You can just tell so much more in the video than you can ever do with one single picture with a few words. For the mass, I would say. Even though I'm not producing for the mass, and this is also something that I should just keep in my mind, I'm just really producing content for the people that are willing to watch and see my content and whatsoever. But the thing is, words can say a lot. And this is something we've been talking about in school, and my teacher also said, who is just a very knowledgeable guy, and he knows a lot, and he, I think, is pretty intelligent, pretty good at communicating as well. People just or words can just tell so much more than people actually say. A lot of people say like, words can say more than 1,000 words. Pictures can say more than 1,000 words, sorry. But at the end I do think like, okay, it always comes up to how you communicate it. If the people who are just you're showing the picture to do not understand what the picture is all about, it communicates nothing. It's the same thing with the words. If I'm just now reading something, something in French or something Chinese, especially with just letters I do not understand by its form, with French, I could maybe just understand a few words because I could translate it or could just some kind of, change it or think about another language where I've seen this construction of letters as well and just think like, okay, this just means this. But with words that are written in letters that I do not understand by the form or by the letters themselves, they're saying nothing to me. I can maybe see some pictures in it, I can see some figures in it, but I won't understand the message. And this is, I think, the case that just generalizing it like, okay, pictures say more than words. I don't know. What do you think about? Yeah, what do you think about? Write it down, just in the comments or DM me. I'm always quite happy if people DM me, that are really serious about talking to me and just, engaging a little bit with me. Sometimes you get hit up by people who are just, fucking around with you, just making offers to you, which is good. Do this. There will be a lot of people or some people who might be just interested in your product, but, you just have to do it in a way that is just good. It's just not pissing off people. That is just, kind of treating them in a great way, but yeah, so the recommended readings. So if you like my philosophy for successful living, you may also enjoy the following books: Awaken the Child Within by Anthony Robbins, which is a book that I've been talking about before. I actually have a episode about it. I do not know if I actually named it like this or if it's even in the description or something. Might be. And How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which is definitely a book I want every single body on the fucking planet to read, some kinda. And Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is, I've never liked it, and I've once just been engaging and been talking about it with a guy on an Instagram post about it, or a girl, I don't know, and he or she was like, okay, he liked Think and Grow Rich, and I was like, I've never understood why so many people like it, because I didn't like it, but I still just understand that people like it, because I think it gives a lot of value and it always comes up to who you are. Maybe it's not for me, and therefore it might be for a lot of people else. This is just the thing. But yeah, but he also, I think, or she understood, what my points were and, whatsoever. But this is the end with this great episode. It just really went so immensely great. I'm pretty happy and grateful for this episode being so great. But I do just have to learn afterwards art history, which is a subject that's quite interesting, to be honest. But yeah, I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. But don't forget to just really give back to the people and watch your legacy. Because these two things are very important, and also the ones before, like, health, wealth, success, and happiness, especially happiness is key. Yeah, with that being said, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, and I wish you a wonderful day and or night.